ended up, oops, I was watching The Crown and I
And just to welcome everyone, Boker Tov, we will start with the bracha and then plunge right into our Toldot text. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And
Amen.
so I was thinking as I was, getting ready this morning, just when you get this, when you kind of start to appreciate how stimulating Torah is and how it just so deepens your life and stuff. I mean, you realize that all these songs and these statements about how great Torah is aren't just it isn't just saying it for the sake of saying it. It really truly is. When it says Kihem Chayinu v'Orech Yameinu, for they are the life and length of our days, the words of Torah. You realize how
Mhm.
they are. By the way, I noticed St. Louis has a uniform this morning, apparently, or at least you send out the memo. So
A uniform?
notice your tops. Aren't you both wearing
Oh,
red? Look to me like you're wearing red.
yeah.
Oh,
Red
oh.
Red.
Which one's yours? Mine's Umzel, so
Anyway,
Oh,
red.
okay.
It's one of Nick's blood shirts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that.
Oh, well, let's go give blood today. That's a good idea.
Okay.
There you go.
Lauren, do we need to keep Nick? Is it Nick's sister or aunt on the list on the Misha Berach list?
Oh, that's his sister-in-law,
Yes.
Kathleen Riggio.
Yes. Do we need to keep?
Yeah, I would. She's in hospice, and
Oh wow.
she's had medical problems for a long time, mental/physical, and
Okay. Let's get on to.
but it's been getting worse.
Oh dear. Well, all right. I'm sorry we're not helping her. All right. Vayim la'u yameha laledet.
Well,
So
that's not a good attitude. I'm sorry, but a lot of people who are in the Misha Barak list aren't really going to get better. But I didn't think the point was just to have them get better, but there were.
It's not.
well, I think
Perfect healing. A perfect healing could be whatever.
we ask God to heal them. We really are. It's fine.
But
I agree with you, Lauren. You are welcome
I
to.
mean, healing takes more than one form.
Mm-hmm.
And we mention it. We mention both healing of spiritual. It says refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, healing of the soul and healing of the body. But listen, we also know. I guess the distinction would be we all know we're mortal, but how we eventually move to the next world is significant. I mean, I'm hoping for myself that I will have what my father had. My late father, went to bed and he didn't wake up.
But yeah, also though we pray for healing, and if it doesn't happen, that's an answer to the prayer as well. It's just an answer that we don't understand, don't like, and it is what it is.
Yes, this is all true, Lauren.
But it doesn't mean we shouldn't pray. Even I just don't expect that our prayers are going to mean some kind of miraculous healing, but it might happen.
Lauren, you please
Yeah.
realize, and maybe mea culpa. I was being facetious. I wasn't being serious at all.
I'm not very good at at that kind of humor.
No, but the point you made was still a good point. But no, I was absolutely being facetious.
Okay.
We keep them on because having them in our mind, okay, specifically mentioning their names and things like that, in that specific way is significant. And because there is, again, this class is not about all that, but it is a deeply spiritual issue. Again, this is something we could talk about if we ever got that coffee clutch going. All right, let's get into the text. But thank you. I deserved that. Vayim le'u yameha laledet. Her days were filled to give birth. V'hinei, and behold, surprise, surprise, omim bevitna. There were twins in her womb.
Watch what you pray for.
You pray for twins? Yeah, I think, okay. Go to the Rashi. Vayimla'u yameha, her days were filled. Aval b'tamar, meaning that she went to term. Aval b'tamar, but with regard, he compares it to Tamar. I mean, again, look at the literary approach here, right? That looking at the Torah text using literary lens is I think the key, right? Regard to Tamar, Ketiv, it says Vayahi be'et lidata, and it's so it was at the time of her birth, of her birthing, right, her delivery. So Rashi's picking up, and again, when I say Rashi, we have to understand it is the rabbis, the earlier rabbis, the Tanaim and the Amoraim, who are discovering these things, right? The different turn of phrase. So if the Yimalum Yameha clearly indicates that she came to full term, then the Eit Lidata, the fact that the Torah doesn't use the same expression, is significant. And you yourselves, I'm sure, have figured out what is it. So if it doesn't say Yimla'u Yameha, we can assume that she didn't Yimla'u Yameha.
Mm-hmm.
Shelo Mal'u Yameha. Her full term it didn't happen.
And I think that the Rashi was also there to point out, like, obviously if at birth there were twins, there were at conception too. So why does it need to tell you that they were there at full term? Well, the answer is that they're stressing that it was full term as opposed to like with Tamar.
So I didn't catch the very last part.
So I think the reason Rashi needed to comment at all on here is because it would be pretty obvious that if she had twins at full term when she was giving birth, that she had them at conception as well.
Yes.
So why the need to mention that at full term she had, so it's the emphasis isn't on the fact that she's having twins, it's on the full term as opposed to Tamar. So I think that's why he feels the need to comment.
Well, you're going to see. Right. But the point about Tamar is, Ki lesheva chodashim yiladatam, because she gave birth to them at 7 months.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said, yeah, that it's
They were premature. So,
stressing the difference is the full term, not that all of a sudden there were twins when there weren't.
right. But there is going to be,
Yeah.
but there's going to be a comment on the twins too. In other words, Rashi is doing the favorite English teacher technique of homework, which is compare and contrast. And
Right.
that's what he's doing. He's comparing.
Mhm.
Contrasting.
But the-
Vehine tomim, right? The language here. Hey, tomim, right up here, right?
Mhm.
Twins.
Yeah, also, she's gonna be way more, that's 2 extra months of having these boys in her system,
Yes,
fighting
kicking
it
around,
out.
by the way. They're
Huh?
struggling within her womb.
Right.
But let's
There's space issues even, there's only so much space that you can get. And if she's going full term, 7 months actually makes more sense, or 8 months for twins than full term.
right. I want
Because that's crazy. No wonder she was complaining.
right. But Golda, I'm sorry, I do want to go through the Rashi so that
Okay.
thanks. Thank you. No. I appreciate what you're doing. That's exactly what I want to do. Right? We're all students. Chaser. So we notice that the word for twins is actually te'omim, right? And again, another contrast with regards to Tamar, te'omim, right? It's with the aleph there. So now it's full, Malay, right? Her pregnancy, Rebecca's pregnancy may have been full, but the result of it was tomim, and with Tamar, her pregnancy was 7 months, and she had tomim, Malay, spelled out in full. Why? So there's always that question, right? Because sheshnehem tzadikim, because both, let's see, who was it? Shayla and was it Shayla? No. I remember one of the twins is Peretz, and what's the name of the other twin?
I can look it up.
Zerach.
Zerach. Isn't it Zerach?
Zerach.
Yeah, I think it is. I'd have to go back and look, right? But the point is that both of them were tzaddikim. They were both full human beings. Aval Khan.
Scarlet
Yep.
thread.
Zerach, right.
The
Mhm.
scarlet thread.
Echad, yeah.
It's
Echad,
Zerach.
yeah. But Zerach sounds like Shemesh Zarach. I think it's the same root, which means the sun came out. So, so Zerach was coming out, and then Peretz came out first, made a breach. So again, another sort of interesting contrast. But Aval Khan, but here, Echad Tzaddik ve'Echad Rasha. They were not perfect twins, but in the case of Tamar, they were perfect twins. So just again, just wonderful, and realize, of course, that this is the beginning of a process. That what Rashi is helping us, opening a door for us, is the whole idea of biblical interpretation, which just allows our minds to play with this text. And you know, some of you have heard me give the analogy of a love letter, letter that you get from the person you're in love with, and you get this letter and you read it, and you're just loving the letter, and then you just have to read it again, and you start to try and look for nuances, and you might even read it a third or fourth time because you fully want to engage with this communication. You fully want to sort of, I don't know, milk out everything, sip at the nectar, right? And we're getting nectar, and we want to play around with it. It's, I'm going to use a Sonoma metaphor. It's like really good wine. I actually had a wine some months ago that I thought was seductive. It was that good with what it does in terms of your taste buds and the thoughts that it gives you. At any rate, Vayetze Harishon. So this is like wine. Vayetze Harishon Admoni. The first one came out red. Kulo, he was covered, he was all full of ka'aderet se'ar, like a hairy mantle. Vayikru Shmo Esav, and they called his name Esau. So, of course, this is like a prophecy of the kind of personality he's going to have. Admoni. Siman's a red, scarlet. Simanhu, it was a sign. Sheyehe shofech damim, that he would be a blood spiller, a spiller of blood. And I think, again, if you want to just meditate a little bit about the significance of that, isn't so much, I think, as we're sort of doing this together, because I want you to know, studying it, us being students of this together forces me to think more deeply about what we're saying and the meanings of what we're saying. And I think that spilling blood here means a complete disregard for other people and for their lives and how you affect them, that there are lots of ways to spill blood because we see blood as sort of giving you energy, making you vibrant, and taking away blood, becoming anemic. And you realize even the term in English, anemic, refers to something. And when you get treated that way by someone else, it just saps you of energy and vibrancy and a lust for living and things like that. That's this kind of person. So this is in Bereshit Rabbah. That's where we find it. Again, this beautifully literary approach. Kulo ka'aderet se'ar. Now, I have to tell you, the Hebrew here is not easy. Kulo means all of him, like a hairy mantle. That's literally word for word, because ka is a comparative preposition, like ka. All of him like a hairy mantle, like a mantle of hair, literally. Malay se'ar, full of hair, Ketalit shel tzemer, like a cloak of wool, hamle'ah se'ar, which is full of hair. And here you have an old French word that I think is in English as well. It looks like floqué, like flocked, right?
Mhm.
So
And
when cloth is
flourish.
flocked, yeah. So when you talk about flocked cloth, what are we talking about actually? Are we
Well,
saying that the wool isn't smooth? When it's flocked, it's sort of more rough. It's a more of a rough weave. Is that what we're saying when we say it's flocked? I'm assuming you're familiar at least with this term because I'm familiar with it. I just haven't looked up the definition in
Mm-mm.
English.
it just reminds me of wool itself because you think of a flock of sheep. But yeah, I guess I've heard of
Curly-ish.
flocking. I just don't know what it means.
Mm-mm.
Because of course it's a beautiful way to handle material. It's, I mean, look at, we know that clothing is such a means of communication, right? Anyway, we've got this wonderful excuse me, Yiddish word. Like it looks to me like it's saying horig, like hairy, right? Full, mit har, full of hair. So maybe that is something that's flocked. I'll have to look it up and see when cloth is flocked, what does it mean? At any rate.
Rabbi, is that a fe or pay you're saying? Because I'm reading it and I'm looking pilu kiret, pilu, pi-
In
be-
Safari, it's a
This
fey.
it's a
this
fe
Hmm.
because
right.
because if it's a pay, piluca in Spanish is wig.
Oh, that's right. By the way, it's so interesting how letters, because of where they come in your mouth, can switch around. Like an old word for wig in English is a peruke. So an L and an R are both sort of dentals, and so they're interchangeable. And we know, for example, that Japanese cannot pronounce L's and Chinese cannot pronounce R's. And by the way, Zulus cannot pronounce R's either. So camera in Zulu is Kamala. So Vice President-elect's name in Zulu means camera. At any rate, yeah, no, I don't think it means a wig. I do really think it's talking about flocking because
So,
It
I mean, I looked
says,
up,
yeah,
yeah,
okay, you do it because I looked it up too. Go.
yeah,
yeah, well, it just says, a flock fabric is one in which flocking has been applied with an adhesive. So then what is flocking?
I've
thanks.
got it. Refers to the deposition or the depositing of many small fiber particles onto a surface.
There we go. There we go.
So like
Perfect.
sprinkling, like
Yeah.
a flocked Christmas tree has all that white
Got
stuff
it. Right.
all over
It's
it.
like,
Yeah.
no, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Nice. All right. Let's go back.
So it's like what women and men do with their hair is getting thin. They add those fibery
Oh,
things
I
in
was
there.
thinking it was almost like adding sparkles. Sometimes a person
So
like
yeah,
sparkles to their hair or something like that.
nah.
Values.
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Tilda. Finish your thought. Go on.
I got it. No,
Oh,
I'm done.
cool. Okay.
Okay, so now that we know what flocking is,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
cool.
Vayetze harishon I'm sorry, you did that. Sorry. Next verse.
Hmm.
Acharechein, and after that, Yatsa Achiv, his brother emerged. V'yado.
Wait,
Yes.
there's another
Oh, yes,
Rashi.
yes, there is. Thank you. Thanks. I see it. I see it.
Mm,
Yikru Shemo Esav. They
yeah.
called his name Esau. By the way, look at how we are analyzing every little element, sometimes words, sometimes phrases, and what we are getting out of this as a result of going beyond the surface. Right? Hakol paru lochein. They all called him this. Lefi, because Shaya ne'esa v'nigmar b'sa'aro, because he was created and completed with his hair. Kevin Shanim Harbe, like a person of many years. Right? I mean, normally we know that the hair on the head develops later in a baby, not usually.
Not me.
Yeah, no, not on every, and not every.
Were you furry?
I had enough hair that the nurses put ribbons in it.
Oh,
Sweet.
nice.
My
Okay.
mom didn't like that. They fought about how my hair should be.
That's okay, Lauren. There's a great story there. I know it, and we're not as someone I know says, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
It's done gone down.
Here we go, my dear. All right.
But
So, but look,
how does the word Esav come out of that? Is that from Ne'asah?
yes, asui, made, completed.
I see. Okay.
And now we understand this word. We understand his name now. That Esav refers to, complete.
And it also refers to his hairiness, really.
Yes, it does. That's how he got the name. Right. So look at the level of understanding that has happened now because we've done this Rashi.
Yeah, one name he has refers to red and the other refers to hairy.
He's also known as Edom, right? He's
Yeah.
called
Mhm.
V'acharei chen yatsa achiv, and after that his brother emerged. V'yado ochezet be'akev Esav, and his hand was gripping the heel of Esau. Vayikra shmo Yaakov. So he was named Yaakov from the word, which means will undermine, will trip. So holding onto a person's heel, the idea is to trip them up.
Or just to follow. It can also mean just to follow, right?
It does. But in this particular case, here it is.
They wouldn't have known that.
Yitzchak ben Shishana, Isaac was 60 years old.
So they've waited 20 years.
Correct. And there's comment about that. This has some halachic implications as well. All right, let's see. And following that, Yatsa Achiv, his brother, emerged. Shamati Midrash Agada. I have learned of Midrash Agada, so an Agadic Midrash as opposed to a halachic Midrash. So in interpretation, Hadorsho Lefi Pshuto, who interpreted according to its plain meaning. Vadin Haya Ochezbo. It was in fact justified that he was holding on to him, Le'akvor, to prevent him, to stop him. Because that's what you do when you trip someone up. You're stopping them from walking further. Yaakov Notzar Metipa Rishona. Jacob was conceived from the first drop. Esav min hashniya, and Esau from the second drop. So this would mean they were, what is it? Would they be fraternal or what's the opposite of fraternal twins?
Identical, but they're not.
So they're not identical, right? They're not.
So they're fraternal. So the drop of what?
Right.
Because they could be two eggs, and that's usually what happens.
No, sperm. Okay. At least this is explaining it.
That's hard to that doesn't happen as often as
if Jacob were born first, he would not have had to steal the birthright or the blessing.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. Right. So
that's why he was trying to hold him back, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here it's simply okay, but the point being made here is that he was in fact, quote, firstborn, because he was first conceived in the process of conception.
But if he didn't come out first, nobody else would know that. So he was trying to hold him back.
Correct. Let's just finish this, okay? Say, Velamed Mishfoferet, go and learn, come and learn this from a tube, Shepihak Tzara, whose opening is narrow. So we're looking at sort of a triangular shaped tube, right? 10 ba shte avanim, put 2 stones into this tube, Zo tachat zo, one underneath the other. Hanichneset rishona, the first stone you put in, teitzei acharona, will come out, will emerge off the last. V'hanichneset acharona, and the one that went in last, teitzei rishona, will come out first. Nimtza Esav hanotzar ba'acharona, and similarly, right? Esau, who was created, who was formed second, the last, Yetzei Rishon or Yatsa Rishon came out first. Yaakov Shenotza Rishona Yatsa Acharon, and Jacob, who was created first, came out last. Yaakov Ba La'akvo, and Jacob was holding on to him to prevent Esau Sheyehe Rishon Laleida, so that he would be the first to actually be birthed. Karishon leyitzira, just as he was first in being formed. Vayiftor, here we go. Okay, so this is Lauren. This is following along the lines of how you were interpreting it. Vayiftor et rachama, and he would open up her womb. Vayitol et habachora min hadin, and he would be able to take the birthright, just, min hadin, according to law. He would legally acquire the birthright. So just, again, this whole bunch of stuff being said here about what's going on.
So let me
Last hired, first fired.
ask you about Yaakov's name, because you said it was related to the word meaning tripping or whatever, but I thought it was related to the word meaning heel.
It does.
Yeah.
The idea, okay, but la'akev here means to delay someone, and the idea is that you supplant, by holding onto somebody's heel, you prevent them from moving further. You trip them up. They can't. They trip up.
So the word
heel. The word akev means heel. That's the essential meaning here.
So the word that means to delay them by tripping them up comes from the word heel because of this kind of action. Okay.
Exactly right. Let me get back into this previous comment for a moment. So what I think is being said here is extremely significant about the way the text runs on the pshat level. So what we're saying is, superficially, Esau was born first. But if you were to look beneath the surface at the actual, forming of Esau and Jacob, you'd realize that Jacob, in fact, was created first. Now, so on the surface, Esau looks like the firstborn, and Jacob looks like the secondborn. But in fact, that's not the case. And likewise, as we read these early narratives about Esau and Jacob, and most people have the same experience. Who looks like the bad guy? Who really looks like the bad guy when you don't read this with rabbinic interpretation?
Jacob.
Absolutely.
No, Esau.
No,
I think Jacob, because he's trying to not let his brother get out of the womb, because he tricks him to steal his birthright. He tricks him to steal his blessing. To me, Jacob is the one that seems like the bad guy.
Exactly. And so this interpretation, in a way, foreshadows the whole narrative. And that makes total sense because, of course, we're talking about the conception of this story. So
no pun intended.
None at all.
I missed struggling when you did that yesterday.
Yes.
I assume. Okay. So were they past? I don't know what it said. I don't know what Rashi said, but were they struggling for position?
No, that's not in the sense that you mean it here. They explained that some rabbis take it from the word larutz, to run. That when Rebecca passed a yeshiva, Jacob would try and run and emerge. And when he went past a house of ill repute, Esau would try to emerge.
Stay home. Just stay home.
So it's 10 o'clock.
I know. I will have to make the mark here. So we have one more day of this. And okay, let me see what I can do here.
We have 2 more Rashis on this.
Yeah. With my little mark. Okay, let me stop the share. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Shabbat
day.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom umvorach, and God willing, we'll see you on Sunday, Shira Beth. So here's the thing. Yeah, I think I may not be seeing you Sunday, but I think the group agreed to continue to meet, and the room will be open, and you'll use Safaria. I want to tell you that I am wrestling because I love doing this with you so much, and for me, it's not a vacation to stop doing this. But on the other hand, I believe in Tzimtzum, and I think it's good for you all to work on this yourselves.
And
So,
we believe in rest and believe that's good for you.
yes,
Mhm.
fair enough. Let me stop recording.